So, hey guys, and welcome to Diabetic 365. And today we have a very special diabetic mom. And happy Halloween, Nikki. Thank you for being on the show. So she is going to share all her experiences with her son Andrew. He has been diagnosed with diabetes right 1 year, probably last year during Thanksgiving. So it's been almost 1 year, and she's going to share all the ups and downs with her son Andrew with his type 1 diabetes. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
So getting started, so it was a great Halloween last year. So at what time was he actually diagnosed on the Thanksgiving, and what was your reaction at that time?
He was diagnosed a week prior to Thanksgiving, and I had noticed that he was a lot more thirsty than usual throughout the whole entire week. And I have a history of some blood sugar issues myself with hypoglycemia. And so I had access to a glucometer that my endocrinologist had given me. And so one night I decided to test him. And it took a lot of work between me and my husband. And we finally drew the blood, and it read 567, I believe, that night. And so my husband looked at me and said, I think, what does that mean? And I said, that's not good. And then we took him down to the hospital.
So let me step back and understand. So you said that you had some kind of diabetes experiences. Are you diabetic, or you had some gestational when you were?
I'm not. Actually, I have Hashimoto's thyroid disease, and then I have mildly elevated blood glucose in the morning for fasting, and then I would experience hypoglycemia, so low blood sugar. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you know that kind of symptoms, what he's going through. He's going through a lot of, he's taking a lot of water and all the stuff, getting tired. Okay, so what was the next thing when you took him to doctor? You were pretty sure that he was kind of not good number. So what did the doctor say, and what was your reaction as a mom at that time?
Well, they tested his blood, and it was high. Fortunately, he did not have ketones, I believe because we caught it so early. And then from that point on, we were admitted and went through the whole 3 days at the hospital. We were pretty shocked, and kind of in denial that this was all happening.
So what was your kind of first week experience? Because it was great Thanksgiving, and everyone will be craving for good food and all that stuff. So and now in the blue this comes up, so you have to be very restricted to what you eat, and it's Halloween, then comes the Thanksgiving, then comes the Christmas, the whole holiday season. So how was it like the first few days to kind of adjust?
It was tough. I mean, we were like fish out of water, It's kind of like when you have your first child and you're sent home. It's kind of like, where's my manual? I need a manual. You just survive, And for us, I mean, we met with the nutritionist, and they put him on, specific amounts of food. We were on a slide scale. And the first endocrinologist that we met with kind of took the approach of, well, let him be a kid, let him eat what he wants, that kind of approach. But Andrew, when he was diagnosed, he wasn't the typical really, really skinny child. He was a little bit overweight. And so we eventually had to change his diet and make some diet changes.
So what are some of the things that you changed him, like on the diet, and put him on do you put him on a strict regime or something like that for a few days? So what were some of the things that you did till the Christmas or so?
Yeah, well, for the diet, we ended up doing only 2 carb servings per meal. So we would do 30 grams of starch carbs per meal. And then he would have free snacks in between, cheese sticks, nuts, that kind of thing.
So now after the holiday season, then he gets back to school. So how worried are you to send him to school without your presence?
Actually, we're blessed because we homeschool. So he is home with us, all day long with me and his two siblings. So we have the flexibility at least to keep a good eye on him there. But when he is away from me, I usually stick around. We have a special little bag that we take with us that has all his stuff in it. So
that's very good. So what are some of the things as a whole family that you need to change and adjust to because of his Andrew's diabetes?
Well, I think more changes came with the celiac diagnosis than did the diabetes, because with diabetes, you can eat really whatever you want. When the celiac came, that's when a lot more changes came, because he has to have all gluten-free foods. I choose to do a half and half kitchen, so we have, the siblings like the wheat products and he eats the gluten-free.
So you said his celiac was diagnosed during the Christmas time. So how was it like? What were the kind of symptoms that he's exhibiting, and how did you find that out?
Andrew actually was a silent celiac. We would have never known if it wasn't for the diabetes diagnosis, because they just automatically test them for celiac. And when that came back, then he had to have the intestinal biopsy, and that showed that he had the celiac disease. And then luckily we didn't have to start the diet until the day after Christmas. So, worked out good. So he was able to have his goodies.
So the next thing is, I know that you believe in Christ, and so what kind of faith did you put in him and tell that this is something that you have to fight throughout your life and you're going to win? So what is that you said to him as a mother or as a whole family to him to build that faith in him?
As a Christian family, God is our rock and our foundation, and he knows that God loves him, and he knows that God didn't do this as something bad towards him. As Christians or non-Christians, bad things happen to us, but we firmly believe and we firmly know through this whole year that God's with us, and God helps us through everything, the ups, the downs, and Andrew just knows that he'll always be there for him.
That's very good. So when it comes to the practical way of handling things like, highs or lows, how does Andrew adjust to those highs or lows, and how does he exhibits his feelings at that time?
Andrew, when he goes low, a lot of times he'll cry, or he'll just get kind of cranky. We went through a time where he was always going low right before lunchtime, and we had to go into the hospital and do what they call a mixed meal test. He would eat what he normally would for breakfast, and then they would check his insulin levels and his blood levels at certain increments. And we found out that his body, for some reason at breakfast time, releases his insulin like a half hour late. So we found that if we give him a snack at exactly 2 hours after he eats his breakfast, he gets like 8 gluten-free crackers. It keeps his lunch numbers okay. But as far as highs and lows, he doesn't exhibit too much because he's still honeymooning. And we always, he eats the exact same of carbs at each meal, which pretty well keeps him pretty stable.
It's pretty stable.
For the most part, yeah.
So tell us, what are some of the best skills you need for nurture a diabetic child?
The best skills, I would think, is...
I know one is patience, but other than that...
Definitely. I think flexibility. You have to be flexible. And especially, even with, at nighttime, if his blood sugars are a little bit higher, then we're maybe we should just eat a free snack tonight, or have a cheese stick, or, something like that. And he goes with the flow for the most part.
So when he is with his friends, how does he adjust with them? Now it's kind of is he wearing an insulin pump or something like that?
He is not. He takes insulin shots at each meal, so he's getting about 3 shots a day.
Oh, okay.
But he's always open to test his blood. Even in restaurants, he's whipping up a shirt and getting his shots. He's not at all embarrassed by it.
He's kind of okay with that. Okay. So tell us some of the things that you learned the hard way in this 1 year.
I think I've learned that you can't control everything. As hard as you try, you can give them the right insulin, you can give them the right foods, and diabetes has its own mind, and it's going to do what it wants sometimes.
So tell us some of the good recipes, or tell us one or two good recipes that Andrew likes most and which are very healthy.
That are healthy?
And good for diabetes.
And good for diabetes. He loves chicken, fish, pot roast. I cook pot roast with gluten-free broth, of course. Gluten-free pastas with, steamed vegetables, fresh cheese.
That's very good. So, but everything is gluten-free, right?
Everything is gluten-free for him.
So here's the thing that I know that when you cook yourself or do something yourself at home, you're very careful. But when you want to step out to a restaurant, or when you want to go to a party, or when you want to go somewhere, it's kind of not always gluten-free. So how do you make sure which is gluten-free and which contains gluten and which is good for him?
We'll usually ask before we go to a restaurant if they offer gluten-free. And when we get there, I usually will talk to a manager just to make sure that things are being prepared exactly how they need to be and to avoid cross-contamination. He loves to eat at Moe's restaurant, which is like a Mexican fast food restaurant, and they always change their gloves. And we take our own taco shells that are gluten-free and our own cheese.
Okay.
So you have to kind of pack things as you go.
Okay, that's very good. So the final question here is final message to the diabetic community and also all the moms and fathers out there.
I would just say, just keep trucking. It's a long and hard road, and I'm blessed to have the diabetes online community and what you're doing here, and it's just great to be able to meet up with other people that are going through the same thing. And also just, to keep placing our faith in God and know that He'll keep directing us.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki, so much for coming onto the show and sharing your thoughts. And keep an eye on Andrew, how much candy he is eating for the Halloween.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
And you take care. Thank you.
You too.